Okay. The recording just started, so I got, I got distracted. Lydia founded Grant Professionals of the Lower Hudson Valley in 2008. So thank you, Lydia, for doing that. And has received numerous awards and recognition for her work and has worked for several local organizations throughout her career. She has been a grant consultant since 1999 and has raised over $40 million for her clients and represented dozens of missions. She earned an MS in marketing from Iona and a BA in communication arts from the College of New Rochelle. So she's very local. Lydia will share her knowledge of popular grant databases and her favorite grant alerts that typically promote RFPs. She will provide tips and handy vetting checklist will be distributed to all of you after the session. And I'm just reading that Barbara reminded me that the link won't be ready in the next couple of days, more likely the next couple of weeks. So that's just that update. So Lydia, take it away.
Thank you very much. And all right, so Ellen let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to take a little hiatus from speaking engagements. So I'm not going to be at the GPA National Convention this year, but I'm very happy to do this one. And of course, would be glad to do it for you. I apologize for the headset. I had some technical issues this morning, and I'm in the middle of my dining room with construction going on right outside the window for putting in a new deck, but I had to be close to the router. So anyway, my husband's out there stopping them. And I'm going to just jump right into the screen. Here we go. Share. Okay, where are we? Here we go. And from the beginning. Okay, everybody see that? A thumbs up? You see my screen? Terrific. That's great. All right, I'll just jump right into this. So the goal for the workshop today is to increase your various knowledge of various grant-seeking sources, such as database search directories, foundation lists, RFP alerts, which are like listservs, and second, to enhance your vetting skills, whereby increasing your likelihood of grants. Now, saying that grant seeking is competitive is an understatement. How many times have you heard a funder say that they've gotten hundreds of applicants and so sorry you weren't, one of them? Get an email like that, or if you've ever been on a webinar and hundreds were attending. Just recently, I was on a Morgan Stanley webinar and there were 1,200 people on the webinar and they're giving out 5 awards. So that makes us ask, with such competition, what is a good success rate? Now, I've seen some people claim 50%. Honestly, I don't believe them. Of course, it depends if you're on your mission. If you hunger and children with disabilities is a little easier to write grants for. I was almost 100% success rate with a food pantry I had this year. But honestly, the environment, the arts are just much more difficult. I would say if you have a 15 to 20% success rate, that's pretty good. And so given this, finding the best possible funding sources, in my opinion, is equally, if not more important than the actual grant writing part of it. So in preparation for today's talk, I did a little calculation. I multiplied the number of hours per week I spent researching by the number of weeks in a year and the number of the years, and I came up with 9,000 hours. 9,000 hours of my time has been spent actually grant seeking. Now, you could say, you would hope that I would have mastered the art of grant seeking by this point, or you can say that Lydia has no life and that feel really, really sorry for me. But seriously, how much time you should spend searching? Well, grant searching, as many of you know, is a very time-consuming process. I typically look at about 10 sources to find one good potential. So given this, I would say that approximately 30% of your grant writing time should be spent on actually grant seeking and vetting, and 70% would be spent on writing. I have 9 clients, and I spend approximately 1 to 2 hours a day actually searching in order to keep a steady flow of new sources coming in. Let me mention today that I'm going to be covering foundations and corporations. in the future, GPLH may run a government similar presentation on the government if there's interest. So I put up this slide today just to show you that there's over, from the Foundation Center, there's over 86,000 foundations that gave away 53 billion dollars. So literally you can spend a lifetime looking and never run out of funding opportunities. You'll notice here there's almost 80,000 independent foundations, 3,400 operating, 2,500 corporate, and 800 community foundations. That is a lot of opportunity to find those viable funding potentials. So we're going to cover this in 3 parts. This is going to be the one that I talk about the most. Some of them we're going to just whip through. You'll get this. You're going to see that I've actually put the website address on this PowerPoint on each page, so you can click on it. So what I would say is take out a piece of paper and maybe mark down, you're going to get the presentation, but if you like a particular directory and think it might work for you, you may want to note that one and perhaps write down the price. And of course, you can always reach me afterwards if you miss something, okay? And of course, I ask that you put all your questions in the chat box, and we're going to try to get to them at the end. So the most popular of the databases, of course, is the Foundation Directory Online. It used to be called Foundation Center Online, but Foundation Center and GuideStar merged with Candid. And this one, they have 2 options. The essential option is $3.99 a year, and it has 110,000 grant maker profiles. But the FDO professional version, the one that costs $1,500, that's the one that has 35,000 grant makers. That enhanced one, unfortunately, at the $1,500 price is the one that you need. If you're a GPA, a Grant Professional Association member, you can get a 10% discount on that. But I will tell you this, you can access this directory for free at several libraries in the area. Mayapack, White Plains, and Greenwich are 3 that I know. If anybody else knows of any others, please put them in the chat box. There may be others there. This is the largest database directory with the 235,000. FDO is good if you particularly know the name of the foundation. You can look it up and get a little write-up on them. They're not so good, to be honest with you, with their write-ups on the foundation. It really doesn't allow you to customize and drill down to get a refined list of potential funders, such as some of the other ones that I'm going to be discussing. But that being said, this is the staple that people use for basic searching. Grant Station search. Now this one costs $6.99, but I will tell you it is free if you're a GPA member, and some others too. If you belong like to the Society of Nonprofits, Grantsmanship Center, the Chronicle of Philanthropy, you actually get access to this funding search. You'll notice on the right side, right over here, you can customize it with areas of interest. So in other words, you can click on not only environment, but they drill down. You can do like water quality as well, target population, the type of support, whether you're looking for capital or programming. What I do like about this, when you, the resulting information is actually fairly robust in describing, and I do find it fairly accurate. So in other words, if you were to go on the website, it would be fairly accurate. One thing that they do that I do like is that they have like an insider information. They once in a while you'll find that they've actually called the foundation and gotten some tips, which are good. It takes away the time that you say need to call them or do research. What's not personalizing the search parameters is pretty good, like I said, but there are some others that I'm going to discuss that are actually a little better. And they don't have a great tracking system for saving grants or an option to set like deadlines and tasks for the future. But that being said, I do like them. I have found sources on here that I didn't find on FDO and some of the other ones. Now, a big one that came out very early on in quote in competition to the Foundation Center was this one, Foundation Search. They have 129,000 foundations, which is half of what FDO has. They do a nice job of vetting. They really drill down and actually include the dollars, grants awarded, the dollar amount of grants, recipients. They have a nice board connection list on there. My beef with them, and if you hear me out on this one, and this is true, they require you to make a 5-year commitment. For 5 years, you pay and you get the 6th year for free. But at $1,800, you have to make a commitment of almost $9,000 with this search tool, which you can't get out. That's pretty hefty in comparison to some of the others that, in fact, very hefty in comparison to some of the others that I'm going to be discussing. However, people that do subscribe to them really do like them. Big Online is a sister organization to Foundation Center. This is the site. I don't know why they don't have it on the whole same site, but this one is the 25,000 corporate foundation matching gift programs, in-kind donation, and the government grant writers are on this site. It's included in the price of the other one. Thompson's Grantscape is another one. An individual cost is $348 for the year, so it's not too bad. It has 180,000 grant profiles, and at any time they claim they have 5,000 active grants open. They do offer a 48-hour trial, so you may want to consider that. There you have a dashboard feature that you can customize as well, putting in all those kind of parameters, location, the target population, of course, what the focus is, hunger or environment or whatever. They do allow you to send alerts to your clients so that if you find something you like, you can send it right from their system. And they have a grants timeline that's pretty good with deadlines, so it keeps you on track if you want to consider it for a later date, or say it's a year from now, the deadline, you just missed it. It will alert you at that time when it comes up. One beef I have with them, they only have 23 search categories, so it's very limited. You want to know what those are. I mean, unless you're in those 23 categories, you don't need to consider this. However, it is rather affordable at $348 a year. Now, GrantWatch. GrantWatch is actually one of the more affordable databases. You can actually get it weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, and annually. And even annually, it's only $199, so less than $200 a year. What's really cool is if you wanted to do a search, you can just sign up for a 1 week, do an extensive search in the week, and then not subscribe for the rest. Their database only has 23,000 foundations and corporations and so forth. But I will tell you that I often find things on this site that no one else has. So I've actually subscribed to this one for a while. And however, their search tool, like I said, putting in that eligibility and the target and the city and state, it's a little bit more limiting than some of the other ones that I'm going to discuss. So limited features, but I think the one that's the worst on this is actually their format. What happens is they put up grants and they're in little boxes. So on a page, you've got maybe 50 boxes going down. You have to click on the box, open up the grant profile, read all about it, close it down, go to the next one, open it up, read it, close it down. It's exceptionally annoying, to put it bluntly. However, like I said, I actually have found a number of sources for them. And I don't think they have any way of tracking it, like setting up a program. It's just to do a basic search. But again, you can do it for like 1 week and check it out. Grant Gopher. Okay, they're only $9 a month, and you get 1 month free with a year subscription. You get safe searches, and they do send out email alerts. But I will tell you, they have very few parameters, which means you're getting just a hodgepodge of things. When you want to, say, do hunger and children rather than just hunger, you're just getting hunger, even though it's really cheap, I have to tell you, I don't feel it's really worth it. So I'm going to be honest with you here, brutally honest kind of thing. And I'm sure they wouldn't be happy to hear me say these things, but this is what I found over the years, and having subscribed, by the way, to almost all of these. Grant Spy. Now, this one has been around for like 20 years, and I've never subscribed to it, and I don't know anybody who has, but I will tell you why. What you see here is what their website page looks like. Their website page is all shoved over to the left. It's very dated looking. It looks like it was created in the 90s. And I just worry that if they're this savvy, lack of savvy, then what kind of product are they actually selling? Maybe I'm being a little biased, but let me just tell you this. On the website, on that copy in there, if you read it, it says it has 4,569 listings, and 133 are from New York. Well, that's what it said 20 years ago. They've never updated the numbers. And what concerns me is they only have 133 New York State foundations when there's literally thousands of them. And it costs $263 a year. This one, I'm actually going to put a beware on it. Not only that I don't recommend it, but kind of beware. Grant Forward. So this one has 190,000 grants existing, and they charge you by the size of the institution, small, medium, and large. So just small, for instance, if you're a grant consultant, most are small, it's $1,820. However, you can get a free trial. And the features include the option to, what I like about it, you can exclude grants that you've read before, you can mark grants, all kind of keywords. I really do like their extra features that they offer, and it's very, you see it has a nice, clean, pleasant look. It's a very easy to use layout, although I feel that it's kind of pricey at $1,800 for what you're receiving. And also, it's very heavy in scientific and research grants, fellowships, scholarships, dissertations, travel, conferences, postdoc, things like that. It's good if you're at a college. You may want to consider it then. Instrumental. Now, Instrumental advertises that it's $149 for 10 projects, which is $1,788 for the year. But if you call, you can get a kind of a reduced rate where you can get 5 projects for around $900. And if you need to add projects, it's like $5 a month additional. They do have a free trial, and they do have a discount if you're a GPA member again. Now, they only have 18,800 funders, and they claim to have over 5,000 live grants, which is good because the current RFPs are, what we want. But what you do is you set up a project. And this is where I have a beef with them, is that 10 projects or 5 are just not enough for a consultant. I have 9 clients that each have probably 5 or 6 different programs that I could be researching for. They don't offer an option. So in other words, I couldn't set up a project for each one of those clients. So if you're a consultant, you would have to set up a project just being the client. Teatown Lake Reservation, Neighbors Link, whatever your clients are, and then have all the grants going in. What's really, really great about this one is it actually sends you alerts on regarding your projects that you've set up in here. They've actually done a very good job on posting 990s and actually going through them and extrapolating information and putting it on here. Their description of each funder profile is really good. They have an easy to print reports to send out. They have a nice task feature and all kind of things. I will tell you right now, I think this is one of the best out there. Kudos to them. Grant Select offers 3 different subscriptions based on how long you're going to subscribe. You can do it for a month for $150, or their professional for $495 for the year. And it has actually a very good detailed record of the contact information and so forth. However, they are a bit heavy on federal grants, so they have all of the catalog of federal domestic assistance, the CFDA. And they have for NIH grants and so forth. Very interesting. They have a free trial subscription, but it's only for faculty, staff, and administrators. So that kind of gives you an indication. This is one that's very good for obviously libraries and academic institutions. The big beef I have with them is there's only 9 categories. That's it. Arts, biomedical and health, children, economic development, education, environment, faith-based, and international grants. So again, this is may be right or not for you. Here's one for our faith-based agencies on the call. So from what I've read, the database actually leaves a little bit to be desired. It's pretty basic. Although it does offer the profiles of the grants, but it's very limiting in their search capacity. However, it's only $145. So if you are a Catholic-based organization related, it's one you want to consider. Okay, so now the next section, we're actually going to, that was the more lengthy. We're going to be whipping through these next ones. So hold on to your seat. We're going to go on a little ride here. Okay, so, so on occasion, you may stumble upon an association like this regional grant makers group, and they have lists. As you can see here, they have the lists here. For the most part, I'm going to tell you that these are pretty useless. You have to actually click on each link, open it up, read it, and there's no parameters. There's no, for the most part, there's not parameters that you can pull in and filter down. However, I will tell you that there is an exception to this rule, and that's targeted ones. And let me give you some examples. Okay, so this one here is a religious space. They have over 10,000 religious grants of every denomination. If you can look right down here, Eastern Orthodox, Roman Catholic, Protestant. So this is a really good one. It's free. You just have to remember, unfortunately, to maybe once a month go on and search. Youth Today. Now, this one has free alerts, by the way, and they have all kind of, their database has all kind of grants like mentoring. So if you're like health, STEM, teen parenting, everything to do with youth, you can go on to their database and look up. It's good for even after school programs. I know a lot of us have that. They have a more robust for $65, and I did subscribe to it at one time. And you get updates and more alerts than their free one that I'm going to discuss in a few minutes. Okay, so there's a couple for education. This one is free, but they recently also started a paid version as well. Here's another one. Get ED funding. I actually like them. They are their database is actually pretty extensive if you're related to any sort of education type, mentoring type funding. They also sort by 21st century themes and skills as well, which is nice. This one here is for teachers, and that's including like after school teachers in a mentoring program. Here's another one for teachers. Again, I'm whipping through these. You're going to get the PowerPoint. And if you're looking for teachers, you got a link right there. Here's one for disabilities. This lists grants by condition, equipment, housing, education, recreation, employment, and much more. This one is maintained by the National Recreation and Park Association. And by the way, these are all free. This one here has a very lengthy list for the arts funding. This one here I found for the environment. You notice they have it, again, you'd have to open each one, but it actually has a fair amount of environment grants. This one here is for healthcare news and grants, so sign up for there. That's one you may want to consider. Okay, and then let's see, racial justice. Of course, that's a big topic and lately. So this one actually does a fairly good job of listing some racial justice grants. And this one here is funds for NGOs. It's mostly international, but they do have their alerts come out and they do send other grants as well here. Is that me giving feedback? We're hearing a little feedback. Can you ask that you mute your line?
Everybody mute, please.
Please, thank you. Okay, so now comes an important way to find grant potentials is actually subscribing to listservs, companies and organizations that send out e-blasts of potential funding sources that typically have, a deadline coming up for the most part. I have had much more success with applying for funding when an upcoming deadline is, rather than doing research on one of the databases and then what I call cold call grant, sending in a cold call grant without, there's a place for both, but for the most part, I've had much more success with applying for something that has a pending deadline. Deadlines this month, they're going to be awarding the grants within the next 2 months. Okay, so philanthropy News Digest. That arrives every morning. It's almost to the point of being annoying. What you do is on that page right there, you can sign up. It's free. You can sign up for the topics that you want. And to name a couple of topics: aging, food, animal welfare, arts, athletics, children, community development, disabilities, LGBT, mental health, philanthropy, tech, veterans. So you click on all of them, and then you get these alerts coming to your inbox the next day. You may have noticed, by the way, that a few of these I'm going to be mentioning have the paid subscriptions as well, but sign up. These are free. These are absolutely free. So the whole point of this section, by the way, is to get your inbox flooded with alerts coming every morning. And that's, now you understand why I spend the first hour to two every day going through my inbox. Grant Station actually is, again, if you're a GPA member, you get Grant Station, and Grant Station Insider comes. It has maybe 10 listings, but it's free. It's like once a week it comes out. Okay, so this one I like, Society for Nonprofits. You probably never heard of it. I stumbled upon it, and I actually like it. It only comes out once a month, but it has a fairly lengthy list, at least 25 different funding sources. And wouldn't you know it, I actually find things that I don't find listed on all of these others that are coming into my inbox. I think it's actually worth spending the $80 to get on their list. Grant Gopher, I mentioned earlier, don't bother signing up for their database. However, they have a free blast, and sign up. They send maybe 3, 4, 5 a week. It's not a lot, but again, every once in a while I find something listed that it's a potential for a client. Youth Today, I mentioned it under the last section. They have a free and a paid version. Sign up for the free version. It's all kind of youth related grants. It's usually about 5 or so grants. Here's another one, Youth Services America. They have free alerts weekly. If you scroll down, you can see the grant section there on the screen. They feature maybe 2 or 3 a week. But again, if you're in youth, you want to sign up for this. Literacy, the National Center for Literacy posts grants. You can see there, it's free. They send it out, I think it's weekly, that comes. And then this brings us, Grant Ed, I almost forgot. This is the free version. The only beef I have with them, which is rather sad, is they only allow you to choose like 5 topics. That's it. And I would have loved to have clicked on all of them. But can't do it. But may I suggest, all of you have different emails. So sign up for 5 with one email, sign up for another 5 with another email, send 5 to your husband each week, and then have him forward the email to you. But it's actually pretty good, and they do a fairly good job of finding things that some of the others don't have. Now, I'm going to share with you a couple of e-blasts. Some cities actually do a great job of putting together a weekly or monthly, actually most of them I think are weekly, e-blasts. And now granted that some of their postings obviously are city specific alerts to Miami, but they do all post some additional grant opportunities. So you want to do this one. You want to sign up for the city of Boston. I thank Ellen. She gave me this lead, and it's, since I've been on it, it's been pretty good. There's one down in Delaware. Again, you don't have to be a Delaware or a Boston. You can sign up for free like I did. And then there's a couple of consultants that have grant alerts like this one. Sellinger's posts a few. Let's see, our Karen Norris does a nice job and sends out once a month a group. Our friend Diane Leonard, who's been a previous speaker, sends out grant opportunities as well. So I want to share with you, New York State Assembly, if you're not aware of this one, it's free. They send out a news blast once a month, an alert. Okay, I'm sure by this point I'm having everyone's eyes look a little glazed, and you're probably, your head is spinning, but I'm just giving you what I've found out there, and you'll understand the more of these sources you have coming in, the more likely you can find a funding opportunity. So additional resources. These are not to be overlooked. Okay, so this one, Grantsmanship Center, has a grants resource page, and there you'll find the top giving foundations in New York. You'll find a list of all the community foundations in the country, corporate giving programs, because corporate programs are often very elusive. They're actually on here. You can see their little link there with the corporate funding. So do check it out. You may, if you've been having a hard time finding, well, TD Bank's online, but if you have a hard time finding a corporation, it may be listed over here. I do want to mention this, although probably most of you on the call know about them, is, there are these community foundations. Ours, obviously, here is Westchester Community Foundation, but to the north, it's Community Foundation of the Hudson Valley. That link over there on the left, if you're out of the area or Connecticut, you can use that link and find the foundation in your area. And then I'd like to bring up Impact 100. Okay, so across the country, there's these women's collective giving groups are popping up all over. In our area, it's called Impact 100 Westchester. And where it is it's a group of ladies. And by the way, I think they're supposed to be creating an Impact 100 type organization for men in Westchester. If anybody knows if that's up and running, please put it in the chat. I forgot his name. David Ringler had called me a while back, and he was trying to pull together people. So what they do is they award grants. They have a program, and they award grants based on their funding focus areas. Another consultant shared with me that she actually uses Google Alerts. However, this really is only an option if you're an agency and say you only have one phrase, mental health grants or something like that. For me, it would not work with 9 clients, and they each have 5 or 6. It's just way too many. My inbox would be flooded. So this is one that I want you to check out. Did you ever get asked by somebody to look up a foundation in Mount Kisco? And this is a great site. If you notice there on the bottom, it's under federal, but it says nonprofits. You click on that, federal nonprofits, and then you put in the zip code, and it punches out a list. There's 150 nonprofits. Well, foundations are nonprofits. You will see there the American Legion and soccer club, but you will have all the foundations listed in the area, like the Abraham Ellis Foundation. Another one that's very similar is this tax exempt world. Same thing. You put in the zip code to find the foundations. Now you're going to notice that they have 209. I'm not quite sure. I usually look at both to see what is, if there is a foundation. So if you're looking for a local, here's an easy way to do it. Let's see what we're doing. Okay, I'd like to mention that something that we often forget about is signing up for regional organization e-blast opportunities, such as those organizations on the left side screen. The one on the right is from Nonprofit Westchester. They often promote a funding opportunity that's available. And here's one from the Catalyst, Westchester County Economic Development. You can see that the New Rochelle Chamber there was having an opportunity. And then there's others to consider. Just give you a second to scroll down. I will tell you, let's see, I know Joanne has had a lot of luck, Joanne Stewart, with the Rotary, including like district grants. I've had great luck with the Hudson Gateway under the real estate. I've also gotten from the insurance industry. So these are all should be checked out. Oh, junior leagues. There's several junior leagues. Sound Shore. I think there's one on Tarrytown, Irvington, the River Towns. They offer grant opportunities throughout the year. Here's more of them to consider. Even like empty bowl on the bottom, food insecurity. I got several clients that have gotten that grant. And the faith-based ones, don't forget about those. You do need to have an endorsement for the most part with the Episcopal charities and stuff. You have to have a church, but it may be worth it. It's good, steady money, and it comes every year. So that's a good one. Okay, so that's the first half. I'm going to whip through the second half too. Is now we're going to talk a little bit about vetting your potential. As I mentioned earlier, I go through 10 sources before I find one good fit. So if you can master this vetting phase, you will be, you will find better potentials and have a more likelihood of success. Like a puzzle piece, you're looking for the perfect fit. There's basically 4 ways that I research here. And some of them, by the way, like Grant Station and stuff like that, do some of this vetting for you. But I still tend to go on the website myself and the 990. And I'm going to show you just a couple. Not going to spend a lot of time, but on a website, here is the list of things that I look for when I'm visiting a website. The mission statement, if you look at this one, it tells you very clearly that it serves older adults, women at risk, children, people with disabilities, veterans, and Jewish causes. If you're falling out of that right there on if you're out of that and you're an environmental organization, it's not going to be quite right for you. Funding focus, I love it when you get a page like this and they have a funding focus where you can drill down and look at each one and it elaborates. Personally, I find it really stupid that when you open up a website and you find 5 words listed on what they're funding, I think it's so stupid of the foundation to do that because they're getting so many unnecessary grants. If they took hunger and broke it down that they're only interested in children in hunger, they wouldn't be getting all of these applications for hunger in general. They would just be getting children hunger applications. But unfortunately, this is like a perfect website where it's really detailed and you click on each one, but they don't always do that. Geography, very clearly here, Baltimore is their focus. So you definitely want. Now the eligibility page, I think this is probably the most important page on a website because it really tells you who's eligible and who's not. New York State agencies, budgets over 750K. And it's been my experience, by the way, that if you don't meet their criteria, you're not going to get funded. Although I will admit that once in a while I'll send a cold call letter in, but it's not as successful. Now, while People's here would make your eyes roll, I have to say I really appreciate it. They are letting the viewer know exactly what they're funding and what they're not funding. So kudos to them that they took the time to be very clear. Grant facts and questions, I think that's another very important page. They putting those questions on there because it's arisen on a regular basis. It's come up as a problem. So do read it because you find little tidbits there that can help decide whether you're going to submit to them or not. I love awards when they're listed on a website. However, you're going to notice on this page, you're not going to be sending them a $50,000 grant request. Don't forget about media alerts. Sometimes the grants are not listed and you may not find the 990, but do a media alert. You'll notice on this one, they gave away 135 million last year and they list who got it. So you can see the amounts and things like that. So you can tailor you see the grant range. So you can tailor your ask for the amount of money. You can go for a $25,000 ask, or it's only 5,000. And you may pass on a grant that's only 5,000 because it may be too small for you to go after. Board lists are somewhat important. If you have a board that maybe you want to send this board list of a local agency to send.
Okay. Can you come back? I'm on a phone call.
Yeah.
See, can you mute, please?
Can you mute, please? So, your board list, you may want to send this board list to your board and see if they know anybody, because as we know, a lot is relationship building here. I like to review, like when they have an annual report, I really do like to look. They often highlight who they have funded in the past and what categories. If you see that 90% was environmental grants and only 5% was arts, you may want to think, well, maybe I can do better. Again, remember, there's 86,000 foundations in the country. You don't need to apply to everything. On occasion, you'll get a little link in the corner where the PDF is, which is really, really good to do. But I'm going to cover PDFs, the 990s in just a second. That's up there in the corner. Now, one thing I would like to point out is that often a foundation will include their buzzwords on their sites. You can see from here, impact and transformational are very important, and they're clearly giving the reader, letting you know what's important to them. Now, most of us know that to fully vet a potential funder, you need to look at the 990. While you can find the 990 on some of those database directories, I find two places, GuideStar, and I find the IRS. See the IRS 990 search? I find that is my favorite way to do it. Copy this page right now. You can put in the ID number, or you can search by name of organization, put in the name of the organization and the state, and you will get the foundation. And then you click on the 990 is right there. This is coming right from the Fed. They have the most up-to-date one. So if the 2020 990 is done, they're going to have it. You may not necessarily get it on GuideStar and all of these other places. A couple of fast ones. Again, this is just a list. These are the things that I do a quick search on when I'm doing a 990. Again, this is all to weed down if it's a good fit or not. First of all, the address, can give you an indication that they may or may not be local with it. Definitely very important is the assets. Let me just see, assets, total giving, and total grants paid. If you see that it's $13 million that they gave, brought in and gave away. However, if you see it's $50,000, it may be a very small family foundation, and it's just going to be way more difficult to get grants out of them. Something to look for again is that board list. You may want to cut and paste this, do a screenshot like I did here, and send it to your board to see if they have any connections. I love it when they have staff listed because you know who to write the letter to. But again, you got to be careful because these 990s are a year old. So the best way is the website or just call. Okay, all right. So this is probably the most important section of the whole thing, part 15. You will notice there with the infamous little check the box, click on the box regarding if they take unsolicited proposals. You'll also notice sometimes they put who to write the letter to, and you have the deadline date. Now, this brings up a good question. Some people ask, what about unsolicited proposals? I will tell you, to me, there were just 86,000 foundations in the country. Why go after an unsolicited? But that being said, I have sent a couple of cold call letters. And actually one was recently, it was one that was Raptors was there, and Teton Lake Reservation is a client, and they have a Raptors there, and they do Eagle Fest. I just thought it was such a perfect fit. We sent them a letter of introduction, and they actually funded them and gave them a $5,000 grant. So that being said, you got to use your judgment unless you have a really, 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 really good fit. If it says that. Now, who they funded. Now, this is the number one, the most important thing on your 990 is to look at who they funded and the amounts. Now, running down here, we can determine that a good medium ask may be $15,000 as an ask. If we saw all of these at 100,000, then you're not going to go for a $5,000 ask. So, and here you can see all the people. Now here, if you saw just child care centers and nursing homes, and you're an environmental organization, and there's not one environmental organization here, I will tell you, you're in all likelihood just not a good fit. So this is why it's very, very important. This is the most important page to look at the 990. You see who they funded and the amounts here so that you can determine what range the ask is. I really, really, really love it when they post what they gave the money for, like in these two examples. How great, equipment, after school program, general operating, Yahoo, we hit that's always one that they like. Okay, now I'm going to give you, if the 990s, unfortunately, sometimes don't list the grant awards, and that really bothers me when I find that, but unfortunately, you do run across a number of them that don't. So this is a suggestion that I've learned over the years. You Google the name of the foundation and the word grants. Carvel grants, Carvel recent grants, Carvel grant awards, Carvel Awards Grant 2, like the example there. You will inevitably find that the Schwartz Center got a $33,000 grant, a $100,000 grant, 600,000. It's not as good as, of course, as having them all listed on the 990, but I will tell you that it is at least something to determine. Okay, we're almost done. Calling, this is the last section that we have, is calling. Obviously, this is the most accurate way to vet a funder. Is we all know that to develop a rapport with a funder is very important, and it increases your likelihood of being funded. But lots of people do not like to call. Admit it. There are some of you on the phone call that would rather have root canal than to pick up the phone, because some of you are introverts and really don't want to go out there. So I have just put together a couple of pages of questions to break the ice. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but just a few. May I ask some questions that will clarify my understanding of your funding focus and determine if I have a good fit? Or the other one there, I believe our agency has a program that meets your foundation's giving focus. May I speak to someone at your foundation and share the details with them? Regarding funding focus, something along the lines of, to further clarify the funding priorities listed on your website, does your foundation have a particular funding focus within those listed guidelines? Once you've, let's see, to see if you're a good pick, maybe one of them like, beyond what is posted on the website, is there anything your review committee members look for when considering a grant application? And of course, if the conversation is going really well, you can give them your organizational elevator pitch. And then if it's really going well, ask them if they're willing to do a site visit. Okay, so this one I want to bring up to you. Years ago, I produced this little handy list. It's included in the follow-up email that's coming to you. I do suggest you take it and post it. If you're not real comfortable with the whole vetting process, this is a perfect tool for you. Post it to your board. And how this works is it's 20 questions, and you've got to get through all 20 questions. So the first one is a funder accepting proposals at this time? If the answer is no, stop, over. But if it is yes, then you go on to the second. Is there a letter of intent needed before submitting? Again, if it's yes, you keep going down this list. If it's no, stop. Can the grant be awarded on time? Will the funding cycle meet when you need the money? If yes, you keep going. Do you meet the geography? Yes, keep going. Go down the list. If you get to the bottom of the list with all yeses, bingo, Yahtzee, you've got yourself a potential funding source. So this is for a lot of us, just do this intuitively if you've been grant writing a long time, but I know that there's some newbies on the phone or people that just don't do grant searching at all. So this is something for you. This is my last slide, and then we're going to open it up. I wanted to share in particular with the consultants on the call a marketing strategy that I've actually used for 20 years, and it involves grant seeking. I use grant search as my quote unique marketing niche. I charge each client 1 hour a week or 4 hours a month, yet they're getting a minimum of about 8 hours a month. They see this as a great value. I land nearly every account that I pitch, almost solely because obviously my experience, I've been writing for over 20 years, but a lot of it is this because they're getting a dollar value. Now, in my case, this works. If I have, 9 clients, so I'm dividing up the searching, amongst all the clients. And of course, if I need a client asks for a particular search on a topic, they get charged the 8 hours of time just to look up whatever it is that they need me to look up. But for the ongoing research that I do, this is how I do it, and it actually has been a very good sales tool for me. Woo! Okay, I hope you guys are all still with me. There's my contact information, because I know I blew through all of this. How are we doing on time? I didn't even look. Oh my goodness, we're right on the nose. I will stay on the line as long as you want, but let's feel free to contact me afterwards. And again, this PowerPoint is coming to you in this afternoon. So I don't know, Maureen, does anybody want to start with some questions in the chat box?
So there were a couple, and let's see. Just so everybody knows, the men's group, the link to the Impact 100, both the global and the men's group, is in the chat for anybody who was interested in that. And one of the questions is, do you find a lot of overlap in the listings between the databases?
Yes. Yes, I do. And that's why, unfortunately, you've got to subscribe to a bunch of them because you're looking for that new stuff, you know, the new opportunities. So yes, they are. I do think that some of them just steal from Philanthropy News Digest and they put it in their blast. And that's why when I went through this, I mentioned which ones seem to do, I find, quote, things.
And then one of the first questions was, is the 15 to 20% success rate that you mentioned in the beginning, is that for new proposals only? Or is that your entire proposal getting?
No, I would say entire. If you have a 15 to 20% across the board. Now, somebody on the call may differ, but I think if you're getting that kind of, you know, I think that's actually pretty good, you know.
Okay.
And you know, when you think about it, what a return on investment. If a client is paying you, I'm just going to keep it simple. They're paying you $1,000 a month for 12 grand, and you're bringing in for them 80,000 or 100,000. What a return on investment. They paid you 12,000 and they're getting 100,000 in grants. You know, that's why grant writing it's important, but you don't win everything. You're not going to win everything. And I highly doubt these people are winning 50% of their grants. not when 1,200 people on Morgan Stanley are applying for 5 grants. Okay.
So Lydia, I have a follow-up question to that. And this is that statistic solely for professionals, or do you think that would also flow with, like, I'm thinking the 50% might be more likely for individual organizations, right? So if you're a grant writer for a specific place, because you know who your funders are, basically.
Right. Well, you know, you could, if you have if you're an in-house, you have a very small grants program, you're only going after past awards that you have, Carvel, St. Faith's House, you're getting from the same group. Yeah, you probably are going to have a 50%, but when it's a normal program, certainly for consultants, you know, you're trying new things. If you're trying new things, you're not going to get a 50% on new things. You know, it's definitely harder. But the return on, like I said, the return on investment, you know, if someone's paying you $24,000 a year and you're bringing in $3,000 or $4,000 for $300,000 for them in grants, you got to be in it to win it.
Exactly. Joe, someone asked, which would you say are the 3 to 4 most important search databases in order of priority to subscribe to? So for those of us, let's say with limited budgets, right?
I knew you guys were going to ask that, and it is oh boy, you're putting me on the spot, aren't you? Okay, well, all right. So if I had a limited budget, you can do the Foundation Center because it is the largest, but you can go to the library and get that one for free. Otherwise, it would be $1,400. As I mentioned, I really do like instrumental, so that's at least a grant, if not more. If you only do the 5 projects, it's instrumental. I do like Grant Station and Grant Watch.
Okay.
Are ones that I do. I spend over 3,000. I looked up. I spend over 3,000 a year in grant search tools.
Interesting.
To keep my inbox full and to keep those potentials flowing. It's unfortunate that one database doesn't include everything. You know, you have to have a variety of these. You know. Now that brings up a good selling point, by the way, for consultants, because if you're paying for these things, agencies just can't afford to be spending $3,000. But you know what? If you have an in-house program, you at least get on all the free stuff that I told you about today, because you need to have access to new sources. But again, go to the library. use Foundation. Do a 1 week on Grant Watch. I think one of them was Grant Watch for $18. You certainly can afford that. Do a 1 week search, you know, kind of thing. Do some of them were like 1 month searches. So if you liked any of them, try to get that, or get a trial run. They usually give you a few days and then search away, you know, that you can.
All right. Deborah, are you seeing any other questions? Because I think we caught them all.
Well, we can open it up if anybody
Yeah.
has
And Lydia,
questions.
if you can unshare your screen, stop sharing your
Yes.
screen so I can then
Got
see
it. There
everybody.
you
There
go.
we go. And Lydia, when you get a chance, read all the wonderful thank yous and
that's great. But you know I did get it in on an hour, because that was, by the way, that was a 99 slide presentation. I think Allison was rolling her eyes yesterday when I sent it to her. I got her a little bit nervous. I told her I was going to be whipping through a lot of them, because you're going to have to, you know, look it up yourself. But I wanted to give you everything that I know.
Jill was raising her hand.
yeah, Jill has a question.
Thank you. So Lydia, I've been checking out Instrumental. Are they sort of like the best of all worlds in that they're just as good as Grant Watch with getting those RFP alerts, and they've got the information of FBO? That's how they sell themselves. And
yes, they're very good. They're very good. Absolutely worth the investment on them. Again, you can target, but the thing is that's a little iffy is you can get 5 or the 10 projects. So if you've got, I know you're a consultant, so if you have 5 clients, you can do 1 for each of your clients. It's a little limiting. What I do is I just use 1 box. I do a search and close it down, and then, you know, go over it. They have things that others don't. They do a really good job of finding out all that other information. I find them very accurate. Like when I read, and they have links to the website of the foundation, so you could click right there and go to it. And I find it pretty accurate. And they actually, on not all of them, because they just don't have the staff, but on a good number of them, they have they go through the 990 and pulling out information, and they put it on the grant profile, you know, on the funder profile. So yes, they're good. I should get a commission. I should have called them. I actually called them to find out what their rates were, and I told the woman I should call her back and tell her, give me a discount on my next one.
yeah.
Lydia, mind if I add one thing?
Go ahead. Yes.
So Jill, the other good thing about Instrumental is that they really, really, really listen to feedback. So if there's something you need and you're not finding it, they will just love you to death for telling them, and they'll work on it.
That's great to know. Thanks.
That's
And
good.
actually, not long ago, I subscribed to Instrumental and I really like it. And they asked some people for I spent like 20 minutes with them going through some new things they were piloting. They sent one of my clients a contribution for my time.
Wow, nice.
There you go. There you go. So. And stuff. Anybody else with questions?
Any more questions?
Again, you can contact me. I'll be glad to go through anything with you.
Joanne?
I think I need a breath.
Okay, I'll give you a breath. I don't have a question, but I do want to let people know that I'm also secretary on a foundation, the Phelps Community Corporation, or Phelps Healthcare Foundation, and it's a separate spin-off from Phelps Hospital. It has nothing to do with Phelps Hospital. And it's a foundation that's about improving the health and wellness of residents of Westchester and Rockland County. It is invitation only, and it used to be, the original charter was to be just on specific towns, mostly in the river towns, but they've now recently got an approval to expand it to all of Westchester and all of Rockland County. So I'm letting people know, because it is invitation only right now, but if there is something, and we're not talking about food insecurity, we're really talking about health and wellness of adults or children who in Westchester, Rockland. If there is a transformational kind of project that you're looking to get funding, the grants are ranging from $75,000 to $125,000, but they really are looking for something that's transformative, not typical, general operating salary type support. Please, contact me, and I'm happy to talk with you about it and see if it's something I should bring to the board's attention.
Yes, and also if there is anybody on the line, if anybody has another source that they use, please share it with the group or send it to me, and I can include it in the PowerPoint fast, and that's going to be sent out in an hour. So please let us know, is anybody using anything else that they love or they hate, even if you didn't like something? But oh boy, I was going to say, I can't believe that I covered them all, but if you think of something or you're on a list, even after the fact, please, we want to keep that PowerPoint up to date. We will put it on the website as well under resources.
Yeah, and I should chime in that if you're on this call, you're going to get the recording and all the follow-up, but it's always on our website under member resources, as are our past webinars. So if you're a member, you can always access all the webinars, and that's another reason to join.
There you go. There you go. Well, I guess that's it. I'll stay on another couple minutes, but it was great seeing you. Thank you to all my friends out there who came. Old friends.
Thank you,
friends.
Lydia.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lydia. Yes, I think this was great.
Wonderful.
And
Listen,
very
everybody have a
helpful.
wonderful summer. Rest of
too.
the summer.
Thanks, Lydia.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Lydia.
Bye.
Lydia, it was great.
Thank you.
All right, Lydia, great job. And the internet worked. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
I'm so happy. I'm in my dining room, but okay, so it is beautiful out there. Can you see the blue? I don't know if it might be too light out there.
All we see is
can't
white,
see.
but that
Yeah,
means it's
see
good
white.
sun.
Yeah.
Yep.
The sun
Yeah.
is out there, but that's great. That's great. So, nope, I'm very happy to do this. Ellen let the cat out of the bag. I'm taking a hiatus from speaking.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I've been doing it, and this one took a long time, as you know, to put together, updating all the prices and stuff. But it's a good piece for GPLH to have and to have on the resource page. We have one on there, and I'll replace it with this one, so it'll be fair, up to date for people.
Great. Thank you
to
so
look.
much.
So, all right, everybody. Thank you. I see
All right.
Lisa there. Hi, Lisa. I missed you there.
She must have stepped away. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. That
Thank
was
you.
fabulous.
Thank you,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.